Ghostbusters 2 is once again directed by Ivan Reitman and once again written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. The Ghostbusters went out of business 5 years after the events of the first film, but when a new era of ghosts come into fruition in New York City, the Ghostbusters must put back the proton packs on and hunt ghosts and go up against an evil painting. Now, I really loved the first film. I thought it was very inventive and really creative. It still holds up today, even though it is a bit dated in places. It is still a very entertaining, very funny comedy that I highly recommend. I cannot say the same thing about this one. All the Ghostbusters sequels and remakes, apart from Afterlife, to me, have been very disappointing for the most part, especially Ghostbusters 2. There's like one half of people that love it, one half that people seem to hate it. I'm in the middle, really. I think that this movie is a very disappointing movie. I don't think it is as bad as some people say it is, but I don't think it is as good as some people say it is. I just think it is a sequel that does literally everything the first movie did, to the point where it's just a copy and paste. Just change elements here and there so it doesn't look like you copied my homework. Really, it's just the same movie. The only few differences I could really think of is that Rick Moranis and Annie Potts have a relationship together, apart from Annie Potts and Egon Spengler. Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver's characters are having a bit of relationship troubles, and they seem to indicate that they split apart at some point, and they are trying to rekindle their relationship back now that Sigourney Weaver's character is basically divorced and is a single mom, and they are starting to form a little bit of a family once again. And that aspect of the film I actually like. Seeing all the Ghostbusters not doing Ghostbusters stuff and just doing their own thing. Harold Ramis is trying to do some scientific research, and it's very nice seeing him be infatuated by his work and his passions. Dan Aykroyd is trying to run a shop, and Bill Murray is trying to run a TV program. I like seeing all this little stuff, even seeing Rick Moranis be a lawyer for the Ghostbusters. I really like seeing different aspects of these characters' lives and how that's discovered. And in many ways, whenever they are brought back into the fold as Ghostbusters, it felt refreshing, like they're able to let all their air out and being able to do what they've always wanted to do and get that respect. But that is where my positives really end, because aside from very impressive special effects that still look really good, in some cases better than the first, and the character stuff and the production design and directing, all that is good. It's just a story, really. That's like the one thing that I couldn't get behind, and it's a glaring problem because it is just beat for beat recreations. It's almost like these recent Disney live action remakes where they just change things up a little bit or be way too similar to the first film. And when you notice that, it's hard to unnotice the similarities in structure, because this film shares the exact same story and structure of the first film, to the point where it's actually aggravating that it feels too much alike. It doesn't feel like its own thing. It doesn't feel like it's really progressing the story along. Even the villains feel like downgraded versions of Gozer and those devil dogs from the first. They are not as intimidating. They're not as engaging or threatening. They just feel like lesser versions of what came before. And that makes the final battle feel all the less engaging to watch, because I'm not invested enough in the story, and I'm not invested enough in the conflict being shown here. Even the performances by Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, as great as all these actors are, especially Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and Rick Moranis, all these guys, they cannot save this script, because it just feels way too similar. They know it from the back of their hand. And while it does seem like they had fun making this just feels like the same thing. And we're just going in circles at this point. And I can see why the franchise stopped after this one for a while. Because it just felt very unoriginal and uninspired. I'm going to give Ghostbusters 2 a C. It's a shame for me to say that because I liked it when I was very young as a kid. But now I've grown up. I've come to be more critical of movies and look at them in a more critical eye. And unfortunately, this one just did not hold up very well to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.